Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing one of my favorite tag videos to do, and that is the good old mid-year book freakout tag. Since it's currently the end of June, almost the beginning of July, that means we've gone through 6 months of reading all year, and I say this every time, but I can't believe we're already halfway through the year. It's just crazy. But I thought it would be fun to take a moment to reflect on how my reading has gone so far this year, make some plans for the second half of the year, and just have a good old chatty time. So I hope you guys are excited, and let's just get into it. So first I'm gonna go through the normal tag questions, then at the very end I'm gonna go through like some Goodreads stats. Last year I went through my Storygraph stats, but honestly, I don't keep up with Storygraph, but I will do it at the end of the year, and I feel like that'll probably be better. But for today, we're just gonna keep it simple, answer the questions, basic stats, you know what I'm saying? So let's get into the questions. The first question is, what is your favorite book that you've read this year? And honestly, you cannot make me choose. I have like 3 books that I quickly want to talk about because I feel like, especially in like the last month, I've been doing so much good reading, and I'm just so excited because I've absolutely found some new all-time faves. So let's just like quickly talk about them. First, I will talk about the one that I read in January though, and that is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I loved this book when I first read it. I think about it all the time. I recently bought the UK copy of it because I think the cover for that one is stunning, and I'm so excited because the second one comes out in January of next year, and I just cannot wait. But basically, in this book you're following, I was like, what's her name? Her name is, it's in the title. Oh my god. You're following our main character, Emily Wilde, who is going to this small town in Europe somewhere, I think it's like somewhere north, to study all of the fae that live there so she can write her Encyclopedia of Fairies. It's very like light academia kind of vibes. There's a really fun romance in it, and overall I just love the ambiance of this book. I also love the writing because it's very like reminiscent of how a classic is written, and I know that's a big turnoff for some people, but honestly I really enjoyed that aspect to it. There were also like footnotes throughout the book as well, talking about like fairy information, and it was so much fun. It's also set in the 1900s, which like I just love anything historical romance, especially with fae. Like there is no way I wasn't gonna love this book, and I'm so happy to announce that I do love this book, although we already know that. Then next up here I have another historical romance fairy book. I have a type apparently, but that is Have a Soul by Olivia Atwater. I read this a few weeks ago. I was so obsessed. I'm still so obsessed. I love it so much. So I've pitched this book like a million times recently, but I'm gonna pitch it again because I gave this book, it was like such an easy 5-star. I absolutely ate it up. I loved it. So basically you're following our main character Dora, who when she was younger had a fairy curse put on her. So basically the fairy took half of her soul, as the title suggests, and basically that means that she doesn't feel emotions the normal way that people do. They're very like, you know, dulled. She's very neutral about a lot of things. So one day her and her cousin decide to go to London for the season, and this is set in the like Regency time, so they're like trying to find husbands basically. And they go there. She ends up meeting this like wizard dude named Elias who gives major Howl vibes, like it literally just is Howl from Howl's Moving Castle. And that also like very much increased my enjoyment because Howl's Moving Castle is one of my favorite movies ever. But I just love everything about this book. The plot, the romance was so cute. I loved our 2 main characters so much, and just again, anything historical romance I will eat up. And the fact that it had like a magical fairy element to it, just like, oh my god. It was so good, and I loved it. And then the last favorite book that I have so far this year is probably something that literally nobody will be surprised by. But I finished this book yesterday. Such an easy 5-star. And yeah, I am also gonna be telling you that Fourth Wing is one of my favorite books of the year so far. I just had such a good time reading it, honestly. Do I have to pitch this to you? Do I have to tell you what this is about? I feel like you know, but in case you don't, I will let you know. So you're following our main character Violet, who all her life has been training to become a scribe, until one day her mother, who is like very high up in like the ranks of this like war college type of situation, she's like, no daughter of mine is gonna become a lowly scribe, go become a dragon rider. And basically that's it. That's the plot. You're following Violet throughout this book as she trains to become a dragon rider, because in this world, when you become like a dragon rider, you bond with dragons and you get like these really cool powers. And just like so many aspects to this book, I was eating up. I loved it. The romance, so good. The magic, very interesting, and just the world in general, loved it. I agree with the hype on this one. Stunning. The next question is the best sequel that you've read so far this year, and honestly this is just an extension of the first question because I would also consider both of the things that I'm about to talk about also favorite books of the year, but they fit in this category better. So the first book that I have here is A Dangerous Collaboration by Deanna Raybourn. This is the 4th book in the Veronica Speedwell series, but I love the series as a whole. But I figured since this is the 4th one, and it's like my favorite of the series, it fit better in this category. So it's so good. If you don't know, this book follows our main character, Veronica, who is a woman in Victorian London, I think. See, again, with the historical whatever going on. I just love it. And throughout the course of this series, she ends up having to work with this guy named Stoker, and they solve mysteries. It's like historical mystery, but with like a really strong romance. It's also like super slow burn and really fun. And just everything about this book I loved. I loved the setting. I really enjoyed the mystery. There's really good development in the romance in this book specifically. So unlike the other books in the series, which are set in London, this book is kind of set in a small town off the coast of somewhere. It's like northern UK. I'm just not exactly sure. I remember where. But there are just so many fun like folklore type of elements to it because all the people that live in this town believe in like pispies, they believe in ghosts, they believe in like, I don't know, fairies or something. Just all the elements that I like the people were kind of talking about in here, and it really set the ambiance really well. But also while the characters are there, they're staying in this like old castle, and there are like scenes of them, you know, in the middle of the night, walking around, running into things. Like, it was just super fun. So this is absolutely one of my favorite sequels. And then next up we have a little manga series, and that is Yona of the Dawn. I just have like 3 volumes here, but I love the series as a whole, but I'm putting it specifically in best sequel because the first volume is questionable. Like, I cannot lie. Don't let the first volume deter you if you pick it up. But like, I know it's a little jarring, but like, just wait. I promise you, it gets better. But basically, in this series, you're following our main character, Yona. There she is, who is a princess of her kingdom, and one day something very harrowing happens and she has to flee the kingdom with her bodyguard Hawk. And throughout the course of the series, you're really just following them as they're kind of running away from all of the people of the kingdom. They meet a bunch of friends along the way, and the found family aspect is just so good. But the romance in this series is absolutely stunning. Like, if you are not obsessed with Yona and Hawk, like, I don't even know what to say to you at this point. Because I just love them so much. It's super slow burn, which I also just eat up. And I'm just so obsessed with this series. It's my new favorite manga, and I can't shut up about it, as you guys probably are aware. The next question is a new release that you need to get to. And for this one, I don't really know if I have one because I've read, I think, all of the new releases for this year so far that I've wanted to read. So the only thing that I have here is A Sinister Revenge by Deanna Raybourn. I don't remember when this one came out, but it was like a few months ago, but I did start it. I'm like 25 pages into this book. Still, I've been 25 pages into this book for a while, but I've been like reading other things right now, but I do really want to get to this one. This is the 8th book in the Veronica Speedwell series, and I think it involves dinosaurs or fossils or something to that effect, and I'm excited about it. Question number 4 is, what are your most anticipated releases for the rest of the year? And I do have quite a few. The first one being A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber. This is the 3rd book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. I have already pre-ordered the Waterstones exclusive edition, and I'm so excited. It comes out sometime in October, and the end of the 2nd book in that series was not cool. Like, I'm not okay with it, and I'm so excited to see how it's gonna continue. I'm also super hyped for Gold by Raven Kennedy, which is the 5th and final book in the Plated Prisoner series. I think originally it was supposed to come out in June, but now it's been pushed back to December. But like, that's okay. It's fine. I'm fine. But I really enjoyed the Plated Prisoner series when I read it last year, and I've been waiting for the 5th one for a while, and I'm just very excited to see what's gonna happen, because I have no idea. Also, volumes 39 and 40 of Yona of the Dawn are coming out in English this year, which I'm super excited about. I think they come out in August and December, if I'm remembering correctly, which is too far away, honestly. Iron Flame, which is the 2nd book in, oh, I don't remember what the name of the series is, but it's the 2nd book that comes after 4th Wing, which I'm also super excited about. And the fact that it comes out in November is such a slay, because 6 months between books and series being released, that is what I need. That is the energy that I need from the publishing industry. Like, I know it's normally not realistic. I respect Rebecca Yarros for putting in the work, and I'm so excited to see where things are gonna go, because the end of 4th Wing, cliffhanger. Oh my god, I'm so excited. And then Heartstopper Volume 5 also comes out in December, I believe, which it's also gonna be great. There's so many good books coming out in the latter half of this year, and I can't wait to see what I think of all of them. Question number 6 is, what is my biggest surprise of the year? And for this one I also have two, but I think the first one I'm going to talk about is the biggest surprise of the two surprises. And that one is Five Survive by Holly Jackson. This is like a young adult thriller, and I had never read a young adult thriller before. I kind of just picked this one up because I thought it sounded fun. I'd seen some people talking about it, but I didn't know how I was gonna feel about it. But I was hooked. I thought it was so interesting. I was really engaged in everything that was going on, and it was a page turner. I would recommend this one. I thought it was a really good time. You're following 6 characters as they are driving in this RV on their way to, I don't know, maybe they're going to Florida or something for spring break, and they take a wrong turn and they end up in this like wooded area, and then they hear all these shots, and like all of the wheels of the RV have been like deflated, so they're like, ah, shoot, and then people start shooting at them, and then it's like, it's a whole thing. But it's very action-packed, tense. I really enjoyed this book. And then this next book that I have here isn't really that much of a surprise because it is a fantasy book with kind of a historical setting to it, so I was like, yeah, I just didn't think I would like it quite as much as I did because I mainly bought it, and this is gonna sound dumb, I mainly bought it because I loved the sprayed edges on it. And I was like, I don't even care what the book is about, I'm gonna buy it because look at these sprayed edges. The little letters, I thought it was so fun. But this is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This is the Fairy Loot edition, and I saw people unboxing it and I was like, oh, I need it. And literally the day I got it, I sat down, I opened it, couldn't put it down. I loved it so much. I gave this book a 5-star. So this book opens up on our main character Iris, whose brother, his name is something weird. Forrest. His name is Forrest. He's going off to war because in this world there is like this war going on. It's not super close to like where Iris is currently, but people of the city that they live in are kind of being recruited by these two gods that are at war. So that's kind of the background of what's going on. So while her brother's off at war, Iris currently works at a newspaper, and she's kind of trying to work her way up through the newspaper food chain, you know? But in the office, there is this dude named Roman, and he is also trying to work his way up the food chain. So they kind of have this bickering, I hate you because you want my job, but I also hate you because I want you type of situation, which I love. But what Iris doesn't know is that when she goes home at night and she's typing out these letters on her typewriter to her brother and kind of sending them through some magic of some sort, they're actually going to Roman, and he knows that they are her letters, but one day he sends a reply back. So they kind of have this like, you've got mail, I know who you are, but you don't know who I am, but we're pen pals type of situation, and I love You've Got Mail. So reading that kind of, would it be a trope? In like a fantasy book like this, I absolutely loved. I thought the world was just really cool, and I just ended up loving this book. And I will absolutely be reading Rebecca Ross's other books at some point in time very soon. Actually, I lied. I have one more biggest surprise that I just noticed sitting over here, and that is The Stolen Heir by Holly Black. Now, I know I love the Folk of the Air series, so you're probably like, why are you surprised? I feel like sometimes writing spin-off series to like beloved series doesn't necessarily work. And I wasn't necessarily convinced that this one was gonna work, but I picked it up, I devoured it, I really liked it. And this book follows Judes, who is like the main character of the Folk of the Air series. We're following her little brother Oak as he embarks on this quest with our main character Surin, and you know, just things ensue. I really liked this book. I thought it was super fun. Did I give it a 4-star? 5-star? I gave it a pretty high rating. I really liked it. Next question is, who's your new favorite author? And this isn't necessarily an author that I started reading from this year, but it's definitely an author that I have just read so many books by this year, and I've read like one book by them in previous years, if that makes sense. And that is none other than Brandon Sanderson. I read the first book in the Stormlight Archive in 2021, and then I read the second one last year, but this year I think I've read like 5 or 6 different books from him. 6? I read a lot of books from him this year because I read the entirety of Mistborn, I read Warbreaker, I read Emperor's New Soul, I read Edge Dancer. So just like a lot of books by him, and I just love his worlds so much. His magic systems are so cool, and I, like, do I need to tell you that Brandon Sanderson is good? No. Let my tabs in Warbreaker tell you that though, because I really love this book as well. The next question is, who is your new fictional crush? And when I wrote the answers to these questions last week, I only had one. But I have unlocked a new one, if you will. The first one is obviously Hawk from Yon of the Dawn. I mean, have you seen him? Yeah. But the second one is Xaden from Fourth Wing, because that man, he's like, honestly, he's like a mix between Rhys and Azriel from ACOTAR, and I'm living for it. I can't lie. Next question is, who is just your new favorite character? And for this one, I only have one that I'm going to talk about, but that is Veronica from the Veronica Speedwell series. I just think Veronica is such a badass. I love her attitude toward everything. She has this very like dry and sarcastic, but very witty sense of humor, which always gets me. Like just seeing her defying all of the, you know, normal, proper social standards for women in the late 1800s. Honestly, stunning. I love her so much. Next question is a book that made you cry. Now, I literally never cry at books. I think maybe I've shed a single tear a few years ago, but like that was it. But that is not to say that books do not make me emotional and very sad. And the one that I want to talk about today is The Astonishing Color of After by Emily X. Arpan. I've never teared up so much at a book. Like this book is harrowing, but beautiful, and I just really enjoyed my time reading it. I feel like this is a really impactful book, and I would highly recommend if you just want something to make you feel something. So in this book, our main character's mother has recently committed suicide, and our main character, Lee, has started seeing her mother as this big red bird everywhere. And this is basically just like a huge exploration of grief. It's a huge exploration of like, you know, embracing where you come from, like that kind of thing. And it's just like, there's so many points to this book that it just made me really sad. But it was also like really beautiful. So I'm really glad that I picked this one up. I've been wanting to read it for a while and it was definitely worth it. The next question is a book that made you happy, and I do have two for this one as well. The first one I want to talk about is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Senju Mandana. This book was so much fun. It was so cute. So in this book, you're following our main character Mika, who is a witch, and through some turns of events, she ends up going to this place called Nowhere House, where she has to look after these three young girls who are also witches and like learning to use their powers. And the relationship that she forms with them is just so wholesome. There's also a romance in it, which is also really cute. And I like, if you just want some serotonin in your life, I would recommend picking up this book. And then the other one that I have here is The Mysteries of Thorn Manor by Margaret Rogerson. But this is a companion novella to Sorcery of Thorns, and I don't really know if I can say too much about it because it might be kind of spoilery, but if you like Sorcery of Thorns, I would recommend you read this because it was just super cute and a really good time. Next question is, what is the best book to movie adaptation that you've seen this year? And I guess maybe Shadow and Bone would be my answer, even though I didn't love like all of the aspects to season 2, but I loved the crows in season 2. So maybe that one. I also recently watched Devil Wears Prada, which is also based off of a book, and I loved that movie. I thought it was so good. Maybe that's it. I really liked both of those, but I'm super excited for Heartstopper season 2, which comes out in August, and that will probably end up being my favorite adaptation of the year. The next question is, what are the most beautiful books that you've acquired this year? I do indeed have a few. First of all, obviously, I have to talk about the Waterstones edition of Ballad Never After, mainly just like this. I know I show the dragon all the time, but I have to show it again because I'm obsessed. I also recently acquired the Penguin cloth-bound version of Dracula as a graduation present to myself, and I love this one so much. And this one, I don't know if it's necessarily beautiful, but this is like one of my favorite covers of all time, and that is this edition of Dracula. I mean, look at it. I also have some others that are on my shelf that I didn't want to take off just yet. First of all, I did finally buy the Illumicrate versions of the Infernal Devices. The other two are back there, but here's Clockwork Princess. It's so pretty. And we have the tour editions of The Last Hours. I do have all three, but this is just the one for Chain of Gold, and like the silhouettes and the foiling, absolutely stunning. The next question is, what are some books that you still want to read this year? And I do indeed have a few. I've been making it my mission so far this year to cut down on my physical TBR. It's not going too well, but I did pick some books off my physical TBR, and I'm gonna quickly show you what they are. First of all, we have The Wicked Deep by Shea Earnshaw. It's got witches. Sounds fun. I really want to read some more classics this year, and one of them is The Moonstone by Wilkie Collins. I think this is a mystery classic of sorts, which I'm excited about. I also have Anne of Green Gables by Ellen Montgomery, which I need to read like in the summer. I feel like it'll be perfect for summer. We have Bringing Down the Duke by Evie Dunmore, just getting into more of my historical romance. And then I've been putting this on like so many TBRs, but A Natural History of Dragons by Marie Brennan. I'm gonna pick it up. I mean, it's got dragons in it. And then the last question of this tag, I don't see everybody do this, but I did see the first person that I'm gonna talk about do this in her mid-year book freakout tag, and I thought it sounded really fun. And that is just to shout out some of your favorite bookish content creators. And I do have quite a few. First of all, absolutely Tori from Tori Between Pages. I love her vlogs so much. Her energy is just so infectious, and every time she talks about books, I just get really excited. Also, Kitty from Spicy Cats Read. She is a fellow vampire and Twilight girly, so I love that. She just reads a lot of books that I've never heard of before, like a lot of horror, a lot of like dark monster alien romance, and hearing her talk about them is so fun. Also Jody, I feel like me and Jody are like the same person, honestly. Like we have like the same reading taste, same overall vibe, so I love watching her channel so much. And she also makes super long vlogs, which I love. Also Kirsten from Reading Nymph, she also makes super long vlogs, and I just feel like we're always hanging out when I watch her vlogs, and it's a really fun time. And then last but certainly not least, obviously you guys gotta go check out Kaz. I mean, duh. Okay, so those are all of the tag questions. Now I thought I could quickly show you some very basic Goodreads stats. So I have read a total of exactly 100 books this year so far, but honestly, it's really not that impressive because it's more like 60, because I have read 40 volumes of Yona of the Dawn, and I still have no regrets. But I read 32,038 pages, so yay. The shortest book that I read so far this year was 55 pages, then that was A Slip Under the Microscope by H.G. Wells, and the longest book that I've read so far is House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas, coming in at 805 pages. My goal for the year is to read 2 books over 1,000 pages. Considering I haven't even read one and it's halfway through the year, it's not looking good. The most shelved book that I've read so far this year is A Court of Thorns and Roses. I did do a reread of it a few weeks ago and it was really fun, I can't lie. And the least shelved book that I have is the 38th volume of Yona of the Dawn. That is a criminal offense, honestly. Oh, but the highest rated, okay, the highest rating thing that I've read on Goodreads is the 30th volume of Yona of the Dawn, an average rating of 4.72, as it should be. Although honestly, if you get that far in the series, I feel like you're not gonna not give those volumes 5 stars, you know what I'm saying? And then finally, my average rating for the year is a 4.2. I feel like I've had a really good reading year so far, and I'm just super excited about all of the books that I've gotten to so far, and I'm super excited to see what the next 6 months are going to hold. And yeah, that is the end of the video. I would love to hear some of your answers to these questions in the comments. I think that would be really fun, so let me know. Or if you don't want to, just let me know whatever you want to tell me. I'm all ears. Also, thank you so much to everybody over on my Patreon. I did recently start one. So if you want some extra content, monthly buddy reads, readathons, journaling content, all of that stuff will be linked in the description. And I am going to let you guys go. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. Oh, paid too much money for this book to do that. Ah, no! I spilled my water. Actually, this is pretty waterproof. That. Thank God. I still spilled my water though. Okay, that is enough of that.